What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and here I have the new OnePlus 3 in the flesh. So in this video, I'm going to be doing an ultimate comparison to the iPhone 6s. Now, why the iPhone 6s and not the 6s Plus? I'm sure someone will be thinking that. Because the iPhone 6s is more closely related to the OnePlus 3 in price than the iPhone 6s Plus is. When people will be shopping between them, they'll most likely be looking at the price. So last year I did a review on the OnePlus X and compared it to the iPhone 6s. There was a huge gap in price between the phones, obviously, but what blew me away was just how capable the OnePlus X was for the price. It could do so much that the iPhone could, but on a much smaller budget. So I'm hoping some of that carries over to the OnePlus 3, where you buy this phone, it's $400, and you're just blown away by how much it can do. Let's take a look. Anyways, first off, design-wise, this thing is a huge upgrade over the OnePlus 2, so it's now featuring a full unibody metal body. It looks very great, very slim, but it looks a lot like the iPhone 6s and pretty much any other major smartphone out there. It has antenna bands, it has a protruding camera. Design-wise, it doesn't stand out too much, but it does look good. So size-wise, there obviously is a disparity between these two. If I was comparing the 6s Plus to this, it would be more of an even fight in size. But the iPhone 6s is the smaller one, slimmer, it's obviously easier to hold, however, it is more slippery. The OnePlus 3 has jagged edges, so it's a little bit more grippier, but when it comes to using the display, the iPhone 6s has a smaller one, so it's easier to access those corners of the display that you usually can't on the OnePlus 3. So the OnePlus 3 certainly isn't a one-handed phone. Now, if you're familiar with an iPhone, you will be absolutely familiar with the OnePlus 3. The ports are pretty much in the exact same place, just on the bottom they're mirrored, so if I were to unmirror them, they look exactly the same. Speaker ports looking a little suspiciously similar, but otherwise everything is exactly where it is. The mute switch, the rocker, the volumes, the power buttons, they're all in the same spots as they are on the iPhone. So if you're going from one to the other, they'll look the same. Now, moving on to the displays, again, because I'm not comparing this to the larger 6s Plus, there is a huge difference here. So the iPhone 6s has the smaller display, lower pixels per inch, lower resolution, and the screen technology is inferior. The AMOLED display on the OnePlus 3 has this optic feature that's basically OnePlus's take on Super AMOLED that Samsung has. It's just a tuned version of the AMOLED display, which pretty much makes the colors more pleasing. I wasn't able to find any difference from this versus a Samsung, but versus an LCD, there certainly is a difference, and that's more apparent once you get into the more darker stuff. So if you guys watch a lot of media, enjoy a lot of content on your phones, the AMOLED panels, I just gotta say, they do work better. Now, some of them may have ghosting issues, but we're so far into the technology developing it that shouldn't even be a concern on your mind. I mean, dark colors are absolutely pitch black dark. It's a beautiful display, guys. Need I say more? It's more efficient. There's so much good things to say about it, basically. So moving on to special technology, what makes these phones unique? The OnePlus 3 has a larger, brighter AMOLED display, but it also has a dual SIM card adapter. That is so cool. That's almost unheard of on phones nowadays. So perfect for business people or cheaters, whichever one. Also, there is Fast Charge 3.0, but it's somewhat of a rebranded term to Dash Charge. It's not Qualcomm's Fast Charge, it's OnePlus's take on it, 60% in 30 minutes. Apple iPhone 6s, of course, has live photos, which is a neat trick. I've used it, I like it. It also has 3D touch, it works hand in hand with live photos, but it's a cool technology. Apple's certainly developing it with iOS 10. It's not just a gimmick. And taking a look at what's powering these phones, the OnePlus 3 basically has your standard Android phone's hardware, which is the Snapdragon 820 and the Adreno 530 GPU. The iPhone, it looks underpowered, but it's always been quite capable against the higher numbers from other Android phones. So the only real way to tell how these compare is just to use them. So I decided to launch a couple of apps, and Snapchat in particular likes to load a lot faster on the iPhones for some reason. So if you're a heavy user of that, definitely iPhone is better on that one. Loading Grand Theft Auto though was faster on the OnePlus 3. So a more intensive application, I gotta give it to the OnePlus 3. For the iPhone, it hasn't really been about raw power, just optimization of the little amount of power it has. Also, loading the camera, that one was faster on the OnePlus 3 for some reason. And I also decided to test some web page loading, definitely something we do on almost a daily basis. And the iPhone 6s, 2 out of 3 times was faster in loading those web pages, which is definitely something nice to see. So if you're buying a phone out of demand for pure power, the OnePlus 3 is certainly the one to choose here. The iPhone 6s doesn't struggle by any means, but it is outshadowed a little bit by the OnePlus 3. Testing the graphical performance, I ran a GFX bench, and what surprised me was that this has the same GPU as the Galaxy S7, yet it did better than that one in this test. And that's of course because the Galaxy S7 does have more pixels to push, but the OnePlus 3 did very good here. It did outperform the iPhone 6s in most of the tests. And it's even more impressive on the OnePlus 3's part because it has a larger display. So moving on to batteries, battery life is very, very important. Neither are user replaceable. The OnePlus 3's battery is almost double the size, but what really makes the difference here is the fact that it has a charge feature that can charge 60% in just 30 minutes. That is just downright impressive. And wireless, so pretty much standard run-of-the-mill specs. Every phone nowadays pretty much comes equipped with all of this. Category 6 LTE download speeds, but the iPhone 6s outdoes the OnePlus 3 with the amount of LTE bands, 23 versus 8. Certainly makes it more of a capable phone for traveling if you take that with you. And a couple of other smaller tests I don't see being performed very often. So starting off with a temperature test under duress. So after running for about 10 minutes with GFX Bench, this pretty much consumes 100% of resources. I wanted to see how hot these phones got. I mean, would they burn you? Would they give you 30-degree burns? But the OnePlus 3 gave 111 degrees at its hottest point. The iPhone 6s 106. So the OnePlus 3 does run hotter. Does that make it a worse phone? Absolutely not. You know, most of us won't even get anywhere near this temperature because we don't run our phones this intense. And next up, a speaker decibel output test. Now, loudness isn't everything, but clarity is. The iPhone 6s did achieve 92 decibels, but it was much louder, had a booming, more reaching sound than the OnePlus 3. So the OnePlus 3 did okay, but it just sounded a little bit muffled. If you use this in person, you'll know what I mean. It did achieve 87.4 decibels, playing the very same sound at max volume. Now, we unlock our phones about 100 times a day on average. Me more, I'd say 200 to 300 times, but the iPhone 6s fingerprint sensor did actually have a delayed reaction, and that's mostly due to the system animation. The OnePlus 3 was instant. The moment you put your finger down on the fingerprint sensor, you're in the phone. Just boom, you're inside. There is no animation, it's just there. Apple, please take note. Do this on iOS 10 in a later beta. It's just so impressive to be able to be inside of the phone the moment you put your finger on the sensor. With the screen on, the iPhone 6s was more evenly matched, as there is an animation on the OnePlus 3, but with the screen off, the OnePlus 3 blew me away. And the big one, cameras. So the OnePlus 3 has a pretty high megapixel count, 16 megapixels. These both use phase detection. Apple calls it focus pixels, but same focus technology. The aperture is a little bit better on the OnePlus 3, so supposedly it does better in low light. I went ahead and did test the cameras in multiple scenarios, and I don't know, you guys tell me down below in the description which one is better, because whenever I try to tell you which one is better, I'm always wrong. So what I did notice about the videos though, of course, the OnePlus 3 does have optical image stabilization. It is more steady. The focus is a little bit delayed on it though, so when shifting subjects, the OnePlus 3 has a little bit slower focus than the iPhone 6s, but color-wise, very interesting, very close, not as saturated as the Galaxy S7, but certainly a little bit more than the iPhone 6s. The iPhone 6s is very cold colors, some would say even more true to life, but you know, it's really up to you. Some people even prefer the oversaturated colors from most Galaxy phones. What's strange about the OnePlus 3 is that you can't record 60 frames per second in 1080p in the stock camera app. But anyways, so moving on to the front-facing cameras, both pretty good. All right, front-facing camera video, so OnePlus 3 over here. Just want to get a feel for the audio, what that's like, color-wise, so definitely looks better than the HTC one. Pretty rainy day here. Man, when isn't it? I'm always filming when it's raining. Looks pretty good. I like the wide angle on the OnePlus 3 for sure. All right, let's see how it looks on the computer. And this is the big one, pricing and storage. So the OnePlus 3 only has one option for storage, 64 gigabytes. It does suck, you can't expand it, and you can't choose or pay for more storage. The iPhone 6s has a higher option here. But where the iPhone 6s can't compete is the price, $250 more expensive, but of course you do get more for it, but I'm just amazed at how much you get for your money with the OnePlus 3. So I've talked a lot about hardware and capabilities of the phone, but I wanted to take a moment just to talk about using the OnePlus 3. The iPhone 6s we're all familiar with, but the OnePlus 3 is something special on its own. First off, even turning it on, I like the fact that it has tap to wake with a double tap. The fingerprint sensor is lightning quick. That alone is awesome. But the best part from an Android user's perspective is just how light the ROM is. It is running a custom ROM, but it's very, very selectively tuned, so it's not just overburdened with a whole bunch of junk. But anyways, the OnePlus 3 in a nutshell, I've assembled some of the points that I have found it to be better than the iPhone 6s in this little nutshell right here. So just take a look. If any of these appeal to you, you'd probably do well with the OnePlus 3. And of course, the iPhone 6s. It is $250 more expensive. If these perks right here are worth it to you for that price tag, then, absolutely go with this one. But iOS alone for me is a very huge part. I didn't talk about software much because it's so selective. I mean, everyone has their own opinion on it, but both phones are great, guys. I'm just amazed that the OnePlus 3 for its price point has so much and delivers so much that many flagships charge several $100s more for. But anyways, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. If you're in the market for a phone, you cannot go wrong with the OnePlus 3. It definitely carries over from the OnePlus X. The price point, the features, everything. It's a great phone, guys. I promise I wasn't paid by OnePlus or anything like that, or by Apple. I never am. I just found this phone to be great. And if you have $400, you need a good phone, this is the one for you. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Peace.